listening. You are listening to the Cup of Kudos Show, a podcast focused on sharing content filled with insight, motivation, inspiration, and sometimes a little spunk. Well, hello, hello. I hope you're having a wonderful night tonight. It's been absolutely beautiful, enjoying all the fall colors and can feel it kind of creeping into the air. And a lot of times that's when we start having a lot of different shifts in the way that we feel. You know, there's even different research that shows how when we move into winter, having less time with daylight has an impact on our emotional state of mind. And it's something that we almost like take little bites into it, and we don't even realize that it's necessarily happening. And I kind of want to talk to you guys about that a little bit tonight. And if you happen to come on live with us through the speaker application, you can chat with us in our chat box. So I'm going to leave a little message for you to say hello if you happen to come on. I'm also going to share this over onto our Facebook page. If you haven't checked us out on Facebook, you can find us at Kudos Magazine. And also, you can find us on Instagram and all that fun stuff. But make sure that you subscribe to our podcast, and you'll get a chance to get some inspiring videos and content. Well, you won't get the videos on podcasts, but you'll be able to download and listen. But we focus on healthy, happy living. And today I want to talk to you a little bit on emotion versus logic. And it's a point I think that's a good time for talking about a little bit of this and that. Bear with me one second. I'm going to upload this to Facebook in case some people want to log on and come listen to us. But anyhow, you know, lately with a lot of these self-help and, you know, new age spiritual kind of outreaches that are going on, a lot of the topics come up of, you know, how do you feel? How does that make you feel? It's almost also a psychology thing of how does that make you feel? And it's good to be in touch with your feelings. And in fact, often I talk about finding the things that you love in life and doing that and focusing more on those pieces. But there also comes a time where you've got to step back and look at things a little bit more analytical. And there's a reason why, is because sometimes the way that we feel is being polluted by outside things, you know, whether it's a hormonal imbalance, you know, it could be, you know, Aunt Flo coming for the monthly visit, or it could be something even more serious, like a chemical imbalance with, you know, a multitude of different things, even diet, stress. There's just so many things that can have an impact on how we feel. Even being hungry will have an impact on how you feel. I'm sure you're familiar with that Snickers commercial with Betty White, and she, you know, is appearing as a tired, grumpy old lady until she gets her Snickers, and then she's a strong, beefy man and back on the football field or something absurd like that. But really, even like those simple things of being hungry, or even getting into like the emotional part of, I call it love stupid, where you have this euphoria of love and it's wonderful, especially like at that, you know, initial stage of falling in love. And it can create where we become a little bit stupid with the decisions that we make and the choices and, you know, things like that. And even on the opposite spectrum, you know, dealing with grief, you know, which of course will have natural stages of depression and suffering that comes with it that is most definitely not going to make you feel good. It's going to make you feel really, a whole range of different emotions. But and this is where falling under this notion of how do you feel could be construed incorrectly on a decision that you're trying to make because it's based on these outside factors. And I mean, there's some simple things you can do, like go take a shower or walk, to try to readjust your proper logical and emotional thinking and balance. But some of the actions may require much more than a shower or taking a walk. It may go as far as having to remove toxic people from your life or having to make decisions on a career move because the job that you have is making you physically sick, whether through the stress or the hours or the lack of fulfillment or whatever. But that's where you've got to really start getting into doing some of the homework and including things like journaling so you can start to identify your thoughts versus, how you quote unquote feel and get to the point that you're decluttering and cleaning up some of these things that aren't really in alignment with who you are and letting go of the past, because often we'll find out that how we feel can also be impacted on things from our past that are following us and having an impact on our decision, whether good or bad. And, you've got to let that go because the past isn't today. So, but I would love to hear from you in the comments on things that maybe have been holding you back, from, really being able to get over some of these hurdles. Are you stuck in this, emotional thing of being confused because you keep hearing, react by the way that you feel versus, looking at it and realizing it's much more than that. So, too often we look at short term relief and only find that the same problem is chasing after us because we're not dealing with, that root of that problem. There's some old saying of, I'm not going to get it exactly right, but wherever you go, there you are. And that includes the problems that come with you because we all have different things that we're dealing with and learning and growing our shortcomings. And, of course, with our faults, we also have our shiny, glossy gifts that we have too. But I think that often right now we're in this society of, basing a lot on how you feel, whether it's, we'll even hit like the topic of divorce briefly. I mean, there's some cases where divorce is, the right way out. But I also wonder, are we too quick to jump on this, I don't feel whatever in that relationship and quitting on it instead of treating it like a covenant, a commitment that's unbreakable. However, there are always going to be those cases that's not the relationship you're supposed to, to be within. But I just wonder sometimes if we're just jumping on that, how we feel in that given moment, way too soon. Are we taking the time to declutter and clean up all of our stuff that we have going on with us? And I think it's something that needs to be done regularly. But I think I'm becoming more aware of it, and I'd like to encourage you to be aware of that too, is to not get caught into the idea of, emotion, writing your choices, and overruling logic. Some years ago, I have a dear friend who had fallen in love, unfortunately, with the wrong guy. And her beautiful soul is very colorful and full of life and wants to just paint beauty in the world. And it was funny, within a short amount of time, like a year, all of a sudden he was trying to have her switch from being this artistic, naturally just brilliant and beautiful soul, to move into like a position of being in data entry. And that's something that actually would have killed her spirit. And at the time, she felt like maybe that was the right choice. She felt like, and that was because she was in that, as I called it before, love stupid, where sometimes those emotions will pull us in a direction to try some things that maybe aren't a good fit for the sake of love. And that can be a powerful thing too. Love can be absolutely an amazing emotion. I think that's the essence of all life. However, yet another however, it goes back to, are you being true to yourself? And I think that's the importance of going through journaling your thoughts and being able to separate thoughts from feelings and emotions and logic, and being able to look at it. But this is one of the tricks that I had recently heard a motivated speaker. I can't remember her name right now, but she was talking about the fact that emotion will always triumph over logic. Always. No matter what. Absolutely no matter what. So even if it makes absolute, and we've all seen this, people in that love stupid moment that make these choices, and it's based on the emotion that they're feeling, and it can go in the polar opposite direction too, of like hate or rage or anger or any of those emotions, and those are things that can stem from a hormonal imbalance, a offset chance of something, just crazy going on. So that's why you got to look at it, mind, body, and spirit. Don't just think I feel this way, so therefore it is. Not necessarily. Go back and look at it and realize that, number one, you are not your thought and you are not your emotion. But how can you learn to, I guess, be in the driver's seat of your mind and of your emotion? And this is one of the hacks that that lady had shared, is knowing the fact that your emotion will always override your logic. You've got to make sure that as you're thinking about the thing that you want, that the emotion that goes with that thought has a positive impact. And this kind of goes back to like some of the concepts of like law of attraction, of the things that you say and project out, or the things that are attracted back to you. So I don't know, a little bit of fun. It's amazing what you can learn when you start to realize how the brain works and different tactics of what you can do, so that you can be in the driver's seat and not just sitting there saying, oh, it's by chance. No, it's not by chance, but some of these things we just don't know until somebody teaches us and tells us, hey, this is what's going on, and this is how you can empower yourself, and realize you're not hostage to the way that you feel. You're not hostage to, in a way that emotion is lingering with you. You have the ability to change and to adjust different things. It's, the mind is absolutely powerful. One exercise, I remember when I was a little kid, we would do this thing called, I think it was called langing, where you would spit out with your tongue, and it would just like go shooting everywhere. But what we would do is always think about a lemon, and then, of course, your mouth starts to water. And that's just with a thought of something, as simple as a lemon. Imagine if we start doing different things to tap into that subconscious, and how to put those positive affirmations in there, and then to be able to step back and do some of these checks in the background to find out, are you getting enough sleep, or is that affecting the way that you quote unquote feel? It's, Your body's your temple. You got to make sure that you're taking the time, feeding it the right nourishment, feeding it the right content, not saturating it with negative news all the time or violent movies or bad, negative, whatever. Do different things to, fill your body with goodness, whether it's food for your body or your mind, and you'll find that actually will have an impact on how you feel. So, yeah, but I hope that this message helps somebody, especially if they're at a point of trying to make a decision and they're saying, hey, what about this is how I feel? And it's actually heartburn. Could be heartburn, maybe not. But, and I do think that it is important to do the things that you love in life. But sometimes, this is another little bit of food for thought, is our growth. If you really think about this, the times that you grow the most, it's not during the smooth sailing times. It's usually during trial and tribulations. And as hard as it is, it does build character and it does build wisdom, as we get older in life. But, do those little things that you can to create the life that you want, but that it's also not just, it's not a hodgepodge. You don't want to just like jump in and say, oh, I want to get my college degree, but I don't feel like doing the work. Well, maybe if you didn't go out to, the frat parties the night before, or the same thing with, an entrepreneur. Maybe you don't feel like filling out all that paperwork. Well, you might not feel like it, but maybe if you wouldn't have put all of your energy into the one project that you loved, you could have left some of your energy for those things that you don't feel like doing. And, one last thing, though, I do want to say is start identifying with different practices like meditation and prayer so that you're able to distinguish, different thought pretenses, including your own intuitive voice, which is separate from the things that, we were saying that will shout out pretty loud. But again, this goes back to what are you feeding that machine so that you can tune into those things, your intuition, your real thoughts and desires, instead of it being polluted by, wasted trash. It's time to declutter, clean it up. Fall season, baby. Talk about spring clean, and now I call it fall clean. Clean it up. Clean up an aisle 10. Yeah. So, and that's about the short of it. But just know that you are loved and you are wonderfully created. And all of this is natural for all of us, even the people that seem to have it all together, they have to go through and do different declutters and things in their life. It's called life. It's called life, and we keep learning and growing. So if you have a chance, make sure that you subscribe to our channel. I'm going to be doing more podcasts live on the Cup of Kudos page, and then also over at the Brady Events page, or Beam 30. So go check those out, subscribe. On the Beam one, we'll be covering a lot on like business and entrepreneurs and things like that. So I hope that you had a chance to grab the latest Kudos magazine. It's out too. We've got some great content for business leaders and entrepreneurs and new moms and all kinds of stuff. So make sure that you snag your copy while they last. In the meantime, I wish you much peace, love, and a whole lot of happiness. Take care, you guys. We'll talk to you on the flip side. Okay, see ya.